Hey everybody, this is Patrick, and today I'm going to be breaking down UFC 216's main event, Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee. So UFC 216, we got the main event, Cucuy versus Kevin Lee, the prospect. A matchup between the lightweight with the longest streak and probably the lightweight with the highest potential in the UFC. Tony Ferguson is on a 9-fight win streak, which includes names such as RDA, Edson, Barboza, and Thomson, which is just freaking insane considering how deep that division is. Like, goddamn. The lightweight division, if you don't know, is easily the deepest division in MMA, and at any given time, anybody in the top 5 can take the belt. Describing Tony Ferguson in the cage is like describing someone who's constantly playing Russian roulette and winning every time. Tony is a pressure fighter that is more in the action and aggression mode, always in your face and not giving you any time to get your feet set or a game plan going, unlike the pressure fighting of someone like RDA or Gennady Golovkin, where they use their presence and ring cutting to put their opponents into bad positions and panic into bad takedowns and strikes. On the feet, Tony Ferguson is all about marching forward. He's coming at you with loopy punches, chopping leg kicks, and front kicks to the body, and it's non-stop. You never get a break from it, and that's when his opponents start to panic. Once the panic sets in, there are two choices that his opponents have: keep on having to deal with the strikes on the feet while getting killed, or shoot for a takedown. Once they shoot for a takedown, the action doesn't stop. Ferguson loves the front headlock, and he'll slap it on his opponents any chance he gets. This opens up his Darce chokes and Anaconda chokes, guillotines, and this is where Tony really takes over. From snap downs to the back takes or chokes, Tony hits a number of these techniques, and there's a good chance that he can finish you from them. Tony hits a number of these, and there's a good chance that he'll finish you, and if he doesn't finish you, he'll threaten with these techniques and use it to advance his position. Tony is also willing to Granby roll out of takedowns when the opportunity allows him. Even if the opponent does manage to take him down successfully, they don't get a chance to have a break. He loves to throw up submissions after submissions or throw down elbows to the head or collarbone. This kind of guard game can make an opponent very hesitant to try to take down Tony, since it can even be more tiring than trying to lay on top of him or trying to stand with him. Tony isn't without flaw, however. He gets hit a lot because he's always moving forward and has his hands by his nipples or his waist all the time, and he's very susceptible to getting knocked down, and he gets knocked down in basically almost all of his fights. The last person to beat him, Michael Johnson, beat Tony with his straighter punches and counter punching, and Lando Venata did a good job weaving and boxing Tony up before Tony started to stand him up with kicks and grab the front headlock every time he saw that Lando was trying to weave under him. And although he's done a great job on the ground making it exhausting for the person on top of him, that doesn't mean that it's impossible to hold him down, which is valuable considering how in MMA, even when the bottom player is doing a lot of work and attacking the top player, they can just hold him down and still be considered in control. Fighting Tony is like fighting a tornado. The more you get pulled into it, the worse you're going to be off, and it's very, very difficult not to get pulled in. Kevin Lee is an instance of somebody who has a lot of athletic potential, and you're surprised you don't see him playing like football or basketball. With a 77-inch reach, incredibly long for someone who's only 5'9", and legs as large as football players, Kevin is definitely someone who has all the potential to become a champion like John Jones if he makes all the right adjustments, but he does make tactical errors. Kevin is coming in with his own nice 5-win streak over very solid competition such as Francisco Trinaldo and Michael Chiesa. Kevin's game on the feet is pretty basic. His boxing is pretty simple, but it's solid. His more effective strikes are his kicks. Being such a strong wrestler, he can kick more freely and not worry about getting taken down. Where he really shines though is when he gets the takedown and when he gets the fight to the ground. Much of Kevin's takedown success comes from the fact that he times his takedowns underneath his opponent's strikes while their guard is not near their hips to fully defend the takedown. Kevin is happy to get into a little striking match just to duck underneath an opponent's right hand and shoot for a takedown while his opponents are out of position. Once he's on top of the opponent, he does a really good job of just slowly transitioning from close guard to half guard to side control to mount. Just basic level jiu-jitsu. Once he achieves mount, that's where he does his most damage. The opponent now has to either choose on whether or not he wants to get rained on by punches from mount or turn and give his back to Kevin. Kevin loves the body triangle around the waist and will hold it until either the opponent taps from a submission, gets stopped by strikes, or the round ends. The body triangle is such a powerful position from the back, as it not only is very painful, but also sucks because you're getting the wind sucked out of you by your opponent's legs, as well as if you want to get out of it, you're going to take a lot of shots on your way out. This makes it easier for Kevin to grab his favorite submission, the rear naked choke, and if you survive to the end of the round, he just gets back to work doing the same thing all over again. Just like Tony, however, Kevin isn't perfect. His main defense on the feet seems to be backing up and holding his hands out in front of him, which has had him get hit by big punches before. He's also particularly not very good at taking body shots. Francisco Trinaldo hit him with an uppercut to the stomach and had him winded really badly, and his one opponent Magomed Mustafaev had him wince and bending over from a kick to the ribs. There's also the problem with how he shoots his takedowns, and he leaves his neck in a compromising position. A lot of times he finds his neck stuck in a guillotine as he shoots in for the takedown, and his response to this is just to slam his opponents as hard as he can and hope that they let go of it, which is very labor intensive. Also, the fact that he loves the body triangle, although perfect for getting a submission, is very exhausting for your legs. What makes this matchup so fun and interesting is that both fighters have a style that can either play into each other's game. Tony Ferguson is always moving forward with his hands low and taking a bunch of shots as he comes forward, and although he actually has a higher takedown defense than Kevin, he's willing to put himself in the worst position possible on the ground and fight his way up, which may not be the best plan against Kevin, since once he's on top and he grabs a body triangle, you're not going to have a really good time. Then there's Kevin, who also takes a bunch of shots on the feet, and he has a very labor intensive style of wrestling. I feel like he does not like body shots at all, and it's going to be interesting to see how well he's conditioned to holding up 3 rounds of Tony coming forward with leg kicks and body shots, which takes so much out of a fighter, let alone 5 rounds. There's also the fact that Tony isn't a stranger to 5 rounds and looked fresh in the 5th round of RDA, whereas Kevin's going to go into new territory. There's also the fact that his head is always getting stuck in compromising positions where his head is very vulnerable in his neck, which isn't a very good sign for him considering Tony's whole wrestling game is built around the front headlock. So Ferguson versus Lee is definitely a fight that you want to see this weekend, whether Kevin Lee withers from the pressure, body shots, and front headlock game of Tony, or Tony finds himself stuck in a body triangle that he can't just get out of. I can't wait to see the winner fight Conor McGregor. If Tony wins, there's a fighter that can bring pressure that Conor McGregor hates so much, and if Kevin wins, it'll be a good chance to see Conor McGregor go up against another strong wrestler, something he hasn't done since Chad Mendes. I hope you enjoyed this pre-fight breakdown on the main event, and I'll be back on Sunday with a post-fight breakdown. Like the video if you did, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below on your thoughts of this fight and who would you rather see fight Conor McGregor. Thanks everyone, peace.